I might die from alcohol, and I don't care. Hi, thank you for clicking on the video, and I hope everyone is doing really well. So the month of May is Mental Health Awareness Month, and today I want to talk about something that is very personal. I've wanted to talk about it for a while, but I decided to wait until May for one big reason, and that is May marks 1 year of sobriety and being clean for myself. Let's celebrate with a drink. Ha, really bad joke. That's what we're gonna do. Yep, non-alcoholic rosé. So we are gonna pop this and celebrate and talk about alcoholism. Fun! And by pop this, I mean unscrew it. There's nothing wrong with drinking juice out of a wine glass or a martini glass. It just makes you feel fancy. So here's to 1 year, no alcohol, no drugs, no smoking, all of that great stuff. Yay. So cheers. It's by Welch's, so you think it's gonna be like sparkling grape juice, which is like super sweet, but then it's not. So I see nothing wrong with drinking non-alcoholic versions of alcoholic drinks, but I think you have to be really careful if you are starting out, or if like it's early in your sobriety, or even if you're not an alcoholic or you have a problem with alcohol and you've just decided you want to cut it out. It is kind of a temptation there, so I think you definitely have to be careful about when you start to, or if ever, start incorporating those kinds of things into your life. You shouldn't drink them every day because it's almost like you're emulating alcoholic behavior with non-alcoholic things. I want to talk about why I don't drink. That's like the main focus. I'll touch on drugs a little bit in this, but it might require its own video. So why I don't drink, and the fact that I don't drink alcohol anymore, I never thought I would stop drinking ever. Like that thought never crossed my mind. I honestly, when I was younger, I saw myself probably having like a liver disease. I anticipated, I might die from alcohol. I couldn't wait to be old enough to drink, and I've been drinking from a young age. I had my first beer when I was like 3 years old. There's speculation on whether or not I finished it, but I like to say I did, because I was a badass even then. Drinking is a social thing that is part of my family. It is something that is enjoyed by everyone in my family, and it's just something that I anticipated when I'm older. And by older, I mean when I'm like 16 and 17. My grandma always asked, like, you can have wine, you could have a cocktail, you can have a drink if your parents say it's okay. And my parents, well, they did say it was okay a few times, actually, to be quite honest. I remember drinking 2 screwdrivers when I was in 5th grade. I have been drinking for a long time, always, asking for like a sip of my mom's wine, always drinking a bit more than a sip. I remember one time it was Easter and my grandma was serving like these little shots of vodka of some kind. Vodka was a popular choice, and my mom said I could do it, do one, and I did it. It burned, and fell in love with vodka that day. By the time I turned 21, the thrill was gone. I drank a lot. Let's just put it that way. Well, how I used to view alcoholics or alcoholism, it was like people who drink every single day, to the point where they're passing out, they're abusing loved ones, they're blacking out, they're doing things that are out of the norm for them. Drinking every day, drinking with the intention of becoming blackout drunk. They are drinking to cope. They are dependent on alcohol. Like, that is what I thought alcoholism was. And in my mind, I'm like, that's not me. There was a time where I was, sneaking drinks, like in high school, sneaking drinks every couple of days at night. And then when I got older and I started like partying, I was only partying on the weekends, and if I had a drink during the week, it was like on like one day during the week, one drink. There were a couple times where it was more than one drink, and I learned my lesson, kind of. Like when I went partying, it was to get fucked up. Like I'd go to like frat parties, and if you've ever been to frat parties, first of all, they suck, and second of all, it's always shitty beer. You're gonna drink beer, like drink good beer, but I guess a frat party is not the place for, you know, mature taste. So I had like 40s of like 40-ounce bottles of liquor in my backpack. Like I would carry a backpack. There was one time I had 5 full bottles of liquor in my backpack. I got so drunk that I gave someone a 40-ounce bottle of Jaeger and just gave it to someone. I was drinking just straight liquor, and I would get really messed up and I would black out, and I have woken up out of a blackout in some very compromising, scary situations. I have woken up to things being done to me and not knowing how I got into that situation. I have done things while intoxicated that like I just can't say. So when I decided to move back home because of my eating disorder, I wasn't around the people that I had been hanging out with before. I was by myself with my family. So I really couldn't do the things that I had been doing. Like I had to kind of change my behaviors a little bit. So I stopped drinking as often as I had been. Like that was the circumstance. Like, but then when I would drink, I would always drink too much, and it would always be like liquor. I would get really messed up and make a fool of myself and embarrass myself and embarrass the people I'm with. So in the past, there were circumstances like I would go to parties. I'm like, I'm not going to drink at this party. And I would always end up drinking because I'd feel peer pressured, and people be like, why aren't you drinking? Like, that's really messed up. And like they would not make fun of me, but they would pressure me to the point where I would give in. But now I was like, I'm not going to drink except for on rare occasions, special occasions. I went from getting like really messed up like weekly to monthly to like quarterly. But what's the difference? You're still getting messed up. You're still putting your body through destruction, chaos. Even if it is less often, you're still harming your body. Decided one day, I was like, I don't think I'm gonna drink anymore. There are no special occasions where I'm going to drink. I'm just going to stop. And the less I drank, the more I realized how much of a problem I had with drinking. All the time I was in denial. Like my whole life I was in denial. I don't have a problem. I don't have a problem. I can stop whenever I want. Well, there were so many times where I wanted to stop and I didn't. The more I got sober and my brain started to clear up a bit, I started to realize I craved that effed up feeling. I craved blacking out so I could just forget myself. I didn't want to have to face myself. And how do you do that? You black out. And how do you do that? You just drink and drink and drink until you no longer have control over yourself, and you can just be this spontaneous, crazy, fun person who everyone loves having you around, who that's not really you because you don't like who you really are, because you don't think people would like who you really are. That is, I wanted to hide, and I wanted to become what I thought people wanted from me. That drunk version of me isn't me. The more I realized I don't really know who I am, and I need to discover myself. And you can't alter your mind. You can't alter your behavior. You can't lose control to discover who you are. You have to be completely self-aware. You have to be completely in control of your body and your words and your actions. In order to discover who you are, you have to have a clear mind. And I didn't have a clear mind for a long time, many, many years. Just briefly, this also goes to drugs as well. I have been doing drugs a long time, and I know a lot of people don't consider weed so much as a drug, but it's a mind, I mean, it changes the chemistry of your body, changes the chemistry of your brain. It is a stimulant of sorts. So yes, it is a drug. And I started smoking weed at a very young age. I recently found out family members do watch these videos, so confessional time. Yes, I have been doing drugs a long time. I've done a lot. We don't need to get into the list, but I've definitely experimented. Eliminating all forms of drugs, all alcohol, getting rid of it all, and just kind of starting over. Like, I'm a blank slate. I can literally be exactly who I am supposed to be. I just need to figure out what that is. There was nothing in my way anymore. There was no wall. There was nothing blocking me. It was just me, and I have to face my reflection. I finally have to see me as me without these like mind-altering substances kind of swaying me back and forth and kind of telling me what I am, what I'm not. It's just me, transparent, nothing standing in my way. And that's what these substances were. They were blocking me. They were putting a haze so that I never could fully face myself. That they were just like this protective covering that kept me from me. So you strip all that away, what are you left with? Yourself. You have to face yourself, which is scary, by the way. So what I would tell people when they asked me, oh, why aren't you drinking? Why aren't you smoking? Why aren't you doing these things? I told them I don't want to put anything in my body that isn't naturally occurring within my body. Like, there's no reason. Like, alcohol and drugs do not improve my quality of life in any way. I read an article that it said you should limit or completely eliminate alcohol from your life if you are bipolar. And I'm suddenly thinking clearly, and I'm like, well, no shit. Like, that makes so much sense. Your brain is already running this crazy roller coaster ride. Why would you add something to your body chemistry that literally will just make you're on this roller coaster? It's gonna make you just shoot straight off the roller coaster track and just crash into oblivion. I was just like, oh my God. Now I have to never have alcohol or drugs again, because I'm trying to just survive with bipolar disorder and just manage it. Alcohol makes it so much harder to manage your bipolar disorder. Period. That was just like the biggest cue to, yes, I am on the right path. This decision is correct for me. And it was after that I started to really think about whether or not, was I an alcoholic? Am I an alcoholic? Did I depend on alcohol? Was I using it? Was I self-medicating with it? And the answer to all of that is yes. Yes, 100 times yes. I was using alcohol to cope with the fact that I didn't like me, and that made me feel like others couldn't like me either. So I had to become something else that others might enjoy having around. I'm not saying it's easy. You start to see the benefits of being sober, and once you start seeing just the positives that being sober bring to your life, it makes it so much more worthwhile. It doesn't make it easier, it just makes it so much more worthwhile doing it and continuing with it. There are some times where I'm like, I just wish I could drink, and I can't. And people are like, yeah, you can just drink. I'm like, no, I can't, because I know my limit. But when I start drinking, I don't want to care about my limit. I want to cross my limit. I want to be reckless. I want to be wild, and I want to lose control, and I cannot lose control. not in this. Would be detrimental to my life if I allowed myself to lose control like that. I can't. So when people are always like, yeah, sure you can. No, I cannot. I cannot. I think lonely isn't the right word, but I'm going to use it. It's a bit lonely when you're in a social setting where you're already uncomfortable and then everyone's drinking to excess, everyone is showing off the excess of drinking that they're doing, and they're all looking at you like you are just the weirdest human being on the planet because you're not drinking, you're not insane like them or acting insane like them. And it definitely makes you feel very alone in those settings where you're like, I just want to be with my friends, but they're all acting like idiots. But there have been times where I've been at parties where I'm like, I'm here for my friends, I'm here to just have fun, but it's hard to have fun when all you want to do is drink because you just want to dumb yourself down so that you can kind of be on the same level with the rest of the people. And that sounds really pretentious and like narcissistic of me to say. I know how it sounds, but that is how it feels. It's like the alcohol just dumbs people down, and when you're not drinking, your intelligence stays the same height that it was before. And when your intelligence is here and everyone else's intelligence is down here, and you're just like, I don't know how to relate to these people. I don't know how to enjoy this time because everyone's really stupid. It was the having to see people that I love and care about do this kind of stuff, and it's like, oh, one day they'll learn, right? I don't see anything wrong with a casual drink, a social drink, social drinks. I think it's great when you know your limits and you keep yourself in check. I unfortunately do not have the will or the want to keep myself in check. I know my limits. It's the sticking to those limits that I'm not very good at. Like over the past year, I have had less like massive up and downs, which has been phenomenal. I definitely have had some manic moments and some really bad depressed moments too, but they're a lot more scarce than they had been in the past. And it might be due to the fact that there is no more of those depressants and those stimulants flushing through my body constantly every single day, just being pumped full of these things. I want to say 100% sure that I'm never going to drink again. For the rest of my life, I'm never going to have alcohol again. I don't even want food that has been cooked in alcohol. Coming to terms with that, I feel really emotional, like, oh my God, I might cry. But that's just something I have to come to terms with, and it's hard, and I have to accept it. And I highly recommend that for those of you who have bipolar disorder, if you can give up alcohol, at least like experiment with like not consuming alcohol or doing drugs or smoking weed or doing any of that. I think it would be super beneficial, especially just to see what the outcome is. What are the results for you? All right, so that is the video. If you enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up. Be sure to subscribe. If you have any questions, comments, video suggestions, feel free to leave those down below in the comment section, and I will see you next time. Bye!